There's a bit of a dilemma when it comes to the women's division in WWE across both Raw and SmackDown. The top storylines for the women right now seem to be either Liv and Rhea for Judgment Day, Street Trash, the Terror Twins, and on SmackDown, you do have Naomi, Bayley, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton mixing it up for quite a while now. But as I look across WWE in both main roster shows, yes, a lot of women on the programs do get featured, but I don't feel like they ever get a lot of story with a lot of consequence. You're either wrapped up in the big title scene, or you're not doing much of anything else. And some of these stories feel like they've been going on for a long time now. Bianca and Jade consistently just going back and forth with the women's tag titles against numerous opponents. Bayley won the women's title at WrestleMania, which was an awesome moment. But after winning the title, I didn't feel like Bayley did much of anything else. Nia Jax is women's champion. I'm really enjoying it. I like her character. I think she's very great as a big dominant heel. Mi Chin is getting more TV time, which is great to see. Chelsea Green is one of my standouts across any show because she's just hilarious. But something's missing for me, because while on the men's side, it's not always perfect either. WWE has, across their shows, has a lot to improve on. But the men's feuds and storylines a lot of the times go beyond the title belts, which is what I like to see. It's not always about the world title. You have guys like Drew and Punk, and yes, it's rooted in the World Heavyweight Championship and Drew getting screwed over, but it is such a long blood feud between these guys, and I think that's really interesting. The Wyatt Six and American Made, it's not about the title. And when it comes to Rhea and Liv Morgan specifically, it seems like their feud is gonna go for a very long time. It could possibly just culminate at WrestleMania. Dominic Mysterio finally eating a riptide. Rhea winning the world title once again, reclaiming it against Liv Morgan. But do you ever notice, and this goes for the men's side too, do you ever notice that when they become big superstars and title holders, they don't wrestle very much anymore? When has Rhea or Liv wrestled on Monday Night Raw, respectfully? They don't even have like tag team matches on Raw. It's just promos and segments where there's brawls. I totally understand. Let's keep everybody healthy. They can wrestle for a very long time. It's great that they're not going to be grinding it out 320 days a year. But when the rest of the women on both Raw and SmackDown aren't in anything that's very meaty or captivating, you're kind of left feeling, well, this doesn't really matter. Women's tag division also, I feel, is a bit of an issue. And while it has gotten a lot of TV time and it has gone on to be on the PLEs from time to time too, it's allowed Jade to develop her character and her skill set. And I am waiting for that moment when we are going to inevitably get Bianca and Jade to go head to head with each other. The tag division for the women always feels like it's just makeshift. They have a lot of factions. They got a lot of tag teams. Pure Fusion Collective. Yeah, and you've got the Damage Control, Unholy Union, Jade and Bianca. There are a lot of teams, but they never feel like they're doing much of anything. And because those tag titles are cross-brand, on one hand, it is a good thing because, well, you can see fresh matchups. But on the other hand, yeah, you just kind of feel like, okay, now Jade and Bianca are gonna go over to Raw to fight Damage Control. They win a #1 contenders match, so now let's have fight. There's no interpersonal stories. There's no element of understanding who these characters are, the dynamics of their faction in Pure Fusion Collective, why they're on the same page, why they are best buddies, why they want the tag titles. No animosity between Bianca and Jade ever. You contrast that with, I don't know, the Bloodline. And yes, the Bloodline over the 4+ years is the cinema for WWE. But it goes to show that WWE has the ability to produce these things at a very high level and give us interesting characters and interesting dynamics, and that not everything is black and white and cut and dry, where it is just we are a babyface tag team and we go and fight for a title. They don't always connect. They sometimes clash. It creates more intrigue. Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, I enjoy them a lot, but I feel like they've just been spinning their wheels for so long. And I'm happy that Chelsea gets a lot of TV time, but it's not gonna result in anything of consequence. And there's been a long-standing rumor that WWE is going to bring in women's mid-card titles. Now, what do you think about that? Good idea, bad idea? Do you think it will make a difference? Do you think it's too many belts? Or do you think that would also just end up being kind of an afterthought for a little while, where, okay, we gave the women mid-card titles, now they can go fight for that? And it still results in just matches on SmackDown that are 8 minutes long, but they're fighting for a US title. I would personally hope that mid-card titles, if they do come for the women, it would rejuvenate the divisions and it would give more superstars more stuff to actually work and fight towards. But I do worry that WWE wouldn't give it the time of day that it kind of needs. We've seen LA Knight with the United States Championship, main event SmackDown before the PLEs. That's awesome. We did see Michin Mia Yim and Nia Jax in a street fight, and that was really fun too. I think women's midcard titles could be a really good thing. I think it could help out a lot of the women. I'd love to see Chelsea Green or Michin with the Intercontinental Championship. Fatal 4-way matches, triple threat matches, United States title, gauntlet match. You get Ivy Nile in there. You can get Maxine Dupree. But the point is that there is a lot of female talent across both brands. And I think you could be doing more with them with mid-card titles. Also with Raw and SmackDown, Raw being on Netflix next year, being a 3-hour juggernaut. SmackDown is going to be 3 hours as well. Reportedly just for like a short term until like the summertime, but you never know. They might make it a permanent thing for 3 hours on SmackDown on USA for 2025. But regardless, if you've got more TV time, and you do have more talent constantly coming in, you got to keep things fresh and interesting. Can't always just put them into factions and tag teams and hope for the best. Mid-card titles could do a lot. It'd be great for SmackDown to open up with the United States Championship match for the women. But that's where I go back to one of the main problems I see with women's wrestling in WWE on the main roster. There's nothing else compelling happening outside of the title scene. I know that so many of the teams are featured. They are on TV every week. You have 4 women right now going for the women's championship. I get it, and there's only so much time you can spread across all these shows and programming. And we did see cool stuff where you get like Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus. But I always worry with WWE, especially nowadays when I notice their main title scenes. If, for example, on the women's world title scene, you're not in that title scene and you're not Rhea and Liv right now, you're not getting that many segments. I get it. Liv and Rhea Ripley especially, extremely popular. One of their most popular superstars across men and women's divisions. I love it. But if you're not going for the title, you're not getting multiple segments a night. It'd be cool to see Final Testament and Scarlett actually wrestle. Scarlett can wrestle. She's a good wrestler. It'd be cool to see her in a personal storyline rivalry with somebody. Make Pure Fusion Collective not a losing faction after maybe like it's been a month. Have they been together? They don't get many wins. And on the women's side, and to contrast it with the men's side, you get meteor promos and the cinematic stuff. And I get it. That seems to be reserved for the tippy top. They're going to put that investment into the likes of Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes for those big cinematic moments. I get it. But wouldn't it be neat to give Rhea and Liv something like that where they were going face to face somewhere? And it was all letterbox and 4x3, and they had the really cool overproduced music and everything in there. Give it more weight to the feud. And additionally, premium live events, pay-per-views, are shorter and shorter now. I like having 3-hour pay-per-views, the PLEs, where you're gonna get a handful of matches and that space being reserved for the biggest storylines, the ones they have been focusing on the most, and giving those matches a lot of time. So we end up seeing 5, 6, matches. I don't think they've even broken 7 matches on a card, unless it's like SummerSlam. But there's goods and bads with that. The good side, more time for matches, let them breathe, tell really compelling stories. It's rarefied air, so if you are on a PLE card, your match really is important. And they're making Raw and SmackDown go-homes, especially SmackDown go-homes, be almost like pre-shows where you're typically now gonna get a title match. Which is a cool thing too, because if you are in Berlin and you're going to SmackDown and to the PLE, you're gonna see a lot of wrestling, and you're gonna see some feuds continue or culminate even on just like SmackDown. But the downside of a 5-6 match card, it is so restricted. Michin and Chelsea Green are gonna have a dumpster match on SmackDown. That's hilarious and awesome. I wish that was on a PLE. And same for a lot of the men's feuds. Braun Breaker, Jey Uso, I wish that was happening at Bad Blood. I think down the road we could see Naomi and Bayley turn on each other and have a really cool rivalry together. But because it wouldn't necessarily be for the title, I would see that just culminating on SmackDown. Now I know what some people will say, you can't be satisfied by anything. You just hate everything. No, it's really not true. It's just an observation that I think women's side of things in WWE doesn't get the same attention. And I think part of the problem or dilemma with all of this is that it can really hurt when you're trying to build more talent to the main tippy top of the title scene. It's great having the superstars and the talent they have. They are treated like a big deal. They get on the WrestleMania cards, they get on the big cards, but beyond the very top of the women's divisions, if you don't build anybody else up, any more heels and stronger opponents for people like Rhea Ripley, they start to just bulldoze through some of the talent, and they're left middling about in the lower card, mid card, if they are even going to make it on TV. Kind of one of the problems I've seen with Cody Rhodes since winning the title. Completed a chapter of this epic story, and then they just threw opponents at Cody. Great matches, but nothing really of consequence because we hadn't built up a lot of big challengers that would even feel like they have a chance to beat Cody Rhodes. Nobody feels like they could beat Rhea Ripley. SmackDown? Yeah, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, Bayley, all of that, Naomi. It's a little bit more interesting. Could go in a lot of different directions, which is great. But what do you see as the problem with WWE's women's divisions? In your eyes, what do they need to do to make it better? Hopefully with WWE going to Netflix and moving things to 3 hours on SmackDown could do a lot. If you guys want to talk more about that and the changes we could see in 2025, click this video right here. Have yourself a great day. See ya.